everyone, my name is Jason from aCheck. In this video I'm going to show you how you can navigate around the aCheck interface. So we're going to log in with a free account, we're going to do some configurations, we're going to set up a schema, and just to show you how easy it is to get started with aCheck. So let's dive in and have a look at that now. Okay, so we're logged into aCheck and we're logged in on the free plan, and in the top left here we can see some information, some statistics of what we've used for this month. So we've used 10 of 100 on the free plan, so we have 10%, and then we can see how many QR codes we've generated over the lifetime of the plan. And down at the bottom here we have schemas. So this is where you'll add your schema. So a schema will be attached to a document type. So it may be that you're creating QR codes for various different document types, so you can have a schema for each document type. In the example we're going to look at, we're going to be creating a COVID test certificate report. So we're going to have information about the person, their email address, their passport for travel, vaccination status, that kind of information. So we allow you to associate 5 fields with a document, with a schema, so that when the QR code is scanned, these fields will be displayed to whoever scans that information. So let's go ahead and create a schema, and I'll show you how that works. So to do that, we're just going to click on schema here, and we're going to give it a name, and we're just going to add that schema. So we can see it's created the schema, we've got the name, we've got the schema ID, so this is a unique ID to your schema, and this is what you'll be using when you use our API to send the information. But if we click on this now, we can add some additional information. We'll have an expiry policy, so you can determine when that QR code expires, so i.e. the information is no longer displayed when it's scanned. And if we click on here, we can set that to be a specific date. So some documents may be invalid after a particular date, things like tickets for events. So you could specify a particular date, or you can just do a duration. So in this instance, we're just going to do a 52 weeks. We're going to do a year before the policy expires. We can then add a logo. So let's just add a logo. This is going to appear on the information that's displayed when it's scanned. Okay, we're going to save that. So we have the schema configured here, and now we can add the fields. So we're going to add labels that we want to fill in when we create the document. So again, in this case, we're going to have name. So we want the person's name. We want their email address displayed. We'll also want their passport number, because this is related to travel. We want their date of birth. And let's have the vaccination information here, so vaccinated. So these are the 5 fields that we're going to create the QR code with, and that we want displayed when the QR code is scanned. So we're just going to click done here now. Okay, so we've configured the schema. Now what we can do is we can have a look at how this works. So we enable you to manually create the QR code, pass the information that you would otherwise be doing when you use the API. So let's just do that now. So we're going to specify the schema that we want to use, the one we've just created here. So we basically just filled out this information with what's being requested, and we can click create. So we can see the QR code is created. So now if we just go to QR codes, we should be able to see that QR code. So we can see this one at the top here. We can see how many times this has been viewed, so how many times the QR code has been scanned. So we can see 0 here, which is what we'd expect. We can click on the QR code itself and see that. We can download that, and we can see the creation time. If we click on this here, we will see what will be displayed when this barcode is scanned. So we can see the logo here that we configured for the schema. These are the fields that we configured for the schema, and this is the information contained. So now we can verify the document based on this information. Okay, so also in the logs we can filter. So if we want to find particular QR codes that are generated on a particular day, we can do that. We can do it by QR code ID, and we can search by schema as well. So we can narrow it down to schemas. So let's go back to config. So we're just going to step back now to config and just have a look here. So this is where we can generate, copy and regenerate the API keys that we're going to be using when we're generating these via the API. We can also add webhooks as well. So we can just specify a URL in there, and we will pass the information that we generate to a webhook that you specify That way, if you have an internal system or an internal workflow, then we can pass you the information, you can generate what you need to do there. So that's optional, but that's very useful. So QR codes we've looked at. If we go to log now, we can look at a bit of in-depth information. So when you're generating your QR codes, we can see, especially if you're using the API, we can filter by response and request and see that information. We can filter by the ID again, the date, and we can also see the information here that's related to that, including IP address as well if you need it. So a bit more in-depth information here for your analysis, for you to do troubleshooting if you need to. If we then go to Schema Archive, so when you delete a schema, we actually archive it because there'll be documents attached to it likely, and we can just restore those as well, those schemas, so we can see them here. And then we have account information, so the general information, you change your email address, your name, your password, and this is where you can also upgrade your package from the starter to the plan that suits you. And we can of course delete account, but we don't want you to do that. So if you have any problems, any queries, anything that you don't like about the system, then we advise you to come here to feedback, and you can give us your feedback and let us know, and we'll help you out. And that's the process. So if you just nip back home again now then, so again we can see our schema, we can see we've created 11 now, so that's 11%, and that's the information. So in the next videos we'll look at how we can use the API to generate. Now we've configured all of our settings in aCheck. Okay, thank you for listening.